Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bar. As per usual, I'm your host, Timmy Tayo. And today we're going to review the overhaul that needs to happen at Man United with an episode titled Sell, Keep, or Loan. So we mentioned in the last episode how there's a mass exodus that needs to take place at United, particularly with the entire squad, with a lot of outgoings and, of course, an influx of new blood into the team. And so today we're going to go over the squad and see who needs to leave, who needs to stay, and perhaps who needs to go out on loan to gain some experience with a future ahead still in this team. So I have the team sheet the squad list right in front of me here, and we're just going to go through starting from the goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and work our way through the attack. Of course, starting with number one behind the sticks, Andre Onana. I think a lot of United fans, including myself, certainly want to see the back of Onana out the door and a new goalkeeper coming in. I'm not sure that we're going to have the budget to get a new goalkeeper in, and if there are any suitors out there for Onana outside of maybe Saudi Arabia, but certainly a sell for me. I think with the amount of errors that he's had over the last two seasons, the amount of goals that have come from goalkeeper errors at the fingertips of Onana in just the short period of time that he's been at the club, for me, we need more assurances in the back. We need more of a safety net, a goalkeeper that's reliable. So very simple decision for me to sell. Of course, we need to find suitors and a price to recoup that hefty price tag from Inter Milan. So I'll sell Andre Onana. Easy decision. But Altay Bayındır, really young goalkeeper, showed a lot of promise, had that standout game in the FA Cup against Arsenal last season. I would certainly keep him. I think he's a solid number two. Not sure he's quite ready to get into the number one position yet. That's still to be determined, but I'll certainly keep him. I think he has a future at United. I think Tom Heaton, 39 years of age, he probably would stay as a third choice. I think he brings a lot of experience, brings good energy to the changing room, and is a character that you probably want to keep for at least one more season before we maybe draft in a youngster in as the third choice, continue to develop. So I think that's it for the goalkeeper position. Moving into the defenders, we know Victor Lindelof is out of contract and has left the club. Nusser Mazraoui, I'll certainly keep. He had an outstanding first season in United, such a utility player, able to play on the left side of the fence, played at the right center back, played as a wing back, and he's a reliable player, stayed fit really throughout the season, which was one of the question marks when we signed him, was his durability. And I think he answered those questions this past season, playing, I think, a record number of games in that line of defense, just behind Diogo Dalot. So keep Mazraoui for sure. I think that's a pretty easy one. Diogo Dalot, also, he had a shaky season, if we're going to be fair, but he's still young, had a lot of experience playing in Europe, AC Milan on loan. He's been here for the last couple seasons, did win the player of the season, I think 2 years ago, or last year, 2 years now. And so I'd certainly keep him. Certainly would want to see someone come in to challenge him in that position in the right wing back, but I think a reliable player. And I think he's one where if you put good players around him, you'll tend to get the best out of him. Certainly keep Diogo Dalot for sure. Matthias de Ligt, also a very solid first season in United. I think he's going to be the centerpiece of this defense as far as being the center back. Easy decision to move forward with him at the heart of the defense. Harry Maguire, I think he's going into his last year of his contract. He's become a fan favorite. Bailed the team out multiple times last season, playing as an auxiliary striker. If we can cash in on Maguire this summer, I think he's going to be, 30? How old is he now? 32. I'd say if there's any suitors, any clubs that are coming in for him, I'd probably want to get as much as we can. Lest we forget, he did cost a record 80 plus million or so as a center back, and at the age of 32, if we can recoup anything for him, then I'd probably say we sell him, considering the fact that defense is probably the one position where we have options. So I'd probably sell Maguire if we can recoup some money for him. Great servant to the team, and I think he leaves on a high if we're able to get a team to buy him. Lisandro Martinez, 27 years old, injury prone, it seems, right? I think over the last 3 seasons, he's had a major injury. So I'm not sure that he's a player that we can rely on. But at 27 years old and the best ball playing center back in the team, I think it's an easy decision to keep him. Hopefully he can stay injury free and this coming season and be a huge part of Ruben Amorim's team for years to come. Patrick Dorgu, of course, a new recruit in the January transfer window. Very simple. We're going to keep him, obviously, a big investment just recently, and so he's not going anywhere. Lenny Euro, the same thing. Great first season. Came in with an injury, but since then, he's formed himself into a reliable option. Versatile, can play on the right, can play on the left. A good ball carrier, good passer from the back, and again, one for the future, well, one for the present and the future that I think Amorim is going to build around. So certainly a keep for me. Luke Shaw, at 29 years old and haven't had a full season free of injury for the past 4 to 5 seasons, I think it's time to cash in on Luke Shaw for whatever we can get. It's time to go with Patrick Dorgu, with Harry Amas, who we'll get to, and then, of course, the new recruit coming from South America in Lyon, I think is how you pronounce his name. I think those are 3 options right there that can play in that left wing back position. Of course, Lisandro Martinez that we talked about, Lenny Euro as we talked about. Mazraoui can also play that left center back position, and so I think it's time to call it for Luke Shaw. Been at the club for many years now. Suffered a horrific injury a few years ago. Was able to bounce back from that. Had a good couple seasons. Was in the England squad and just can't stay fit. And so I think it's time to move on from Luke Shaw. So I would sell this summer for sure. Aiden Heaven, another wonderful recruit from Arsenal. Thank you, Gunners, for selling us Aiden Heaven for what was it, under £1 million. Great investment. I think he's going to be one of those players that's going to be at the heart of the team for the next decade at the very least, at the tender age of 18, and a player that's playing well beyond his years. And so easy decision to keep and build around this young core of defenders that we have. Of course, Johnny Evans, he's left the team, a great servant. I think the last player from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. And we officially do not have any players that was either managed by Sir Alex anymore, being that Johnny Evans is now officially out of contract and will be leaving this summer. So great servant to the club. Big kudos to him. And hopefully he finds another team if he does not retire. I think he's, 37 years old? 37 years old, yeah. Harry Amas, I mentioned him earlier. That's a player to keep. I would have sent a loan option for him, but if we're going to get rid of Luke Shaw, I think he's a player that needs to stay and fight for that position. Of course, there's no European football, so we'll be limited to, the Premier League and the cup competitions between FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. And I think if Patrick Dorgu is going to be a starter and that new kid from South America, I think having Harry Amas to challenge in that position and rotate in cup games would be a good thing for his development. He showed flashes of his talent. He's great in the attacking sense, a lot to learn from a defensive standpoint. I still think he needs to build up his physicality, but one for the future for sure. I would keep him, especially for getting rid of Luke Shaw. Tyler Fredrickson also made his debut this season, a young, exciting center back. A really good ball carrier. Had a couple games at the tail end of next season. He is one that I would loan out. I think he'd be great to go to a championship team and get regular playing time, playing week in, week out to really develop his skill set, develop his gameplay and just gain that experience. And I think he's one for the future for sure. He showed, like I said, just great ball carrying ability, great poise in that right center back position that he played when he came into the team. And I think he's one that championship teams are probably looking at with those appearances that he made at the tail end of last season, where he could hopefully get some playing time in the championship. As far as moving into midfield, Mason Mount, of course, he's also been plagued by injury, but at the tender age of, well, I wouldn't say tender age, but he's 26. He's just getting into his prime. We started to see the real Mason Mount towards the end of last season. And if he can stay fit, I'm quite confident that he can realize his full potential in the United Church. Just based on what we saw, the glimpses from the end of last season in the Europa League, I think he had his best game against Aston Villa in that last game of the season. And if he can carry that momentum, carry that form through preseason and stay fit starting the season, I think he will be a mainstay in the squad and show his true value and his worth to the United fans. So certainly a keep for me. Bruno Fernandes, great news. He's decided to stay and not go to Saudi. There's been a lot of speculation, and I've had mixed feelings about this. On one hand, I could see the value in getting £100 million for a 30-year-old. But on the flip side, I mean, he's the captain, right? When you look around the squad, there are no other suitable captains. And he's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But what he means to this team is invaluable. I'm not sure that $100 million could have gone into replacing him. You can make the argument you could probably bring 2 to 3 players in for that money that can bring the goal contributions that Bruno has brought to this team over the last 5 years. But just the intangibles, right? Just what he means to the locker room, what he means to the club. I think it's great to have Bruno in, especially with this rebuild and the new players that are going to be coming in. It'd be great to have the ever-reliant Captain Fantastic Bruno Fernandes. So an obvious keep, and I'm glad that he's decided to stay. Christian Eriksen, we know that his contract was up and he will be leaving, so that takes care of that. Casemiro, this is also a delicate one because he's one of the highest earners on the team. He's 33 years old now, just got recalled to the Brazilian national team. He seems to be an upward trajectory in terms of his form and the levels that he's shown this season, but he is 33. And with the wages that he's on, I think this is a sell for me. As much as I would love to have him in and around the team and play a part and have a good influence on the squad, at 33 years old, if a bid comes in from Saudi, I'd sell in a heartbeat. He's been a great servant these last 3 years, scored in the cup final against Newcastle, guided us to, the FA Cup, played a significant role last season. But at 33 years old, with the physicality of the Premier League and the speed, the tenacity, I just think we need more in that engine room. And I will sell Casemiro. Manu Owate, this is probably the most puzzling player for me because I can't quite see where he fits in. We spent so much time last season going back and forth with PSG for this sale. We finally got him in. Erik ten Hag refused to play him. Then we brought Amorim in, who Ugarte kind of made his name with in Sporting Lisbon. And then he didn't play in the most important game of the season in the Europa League final. Didn't play in the last game against Aston Villa. And so I'm kind of struggling to see what's going on here. And with the signings of Cunha and hopefully in Buemo in the next few weeks, it looks like Bruno's going to be moving back into a central midfield role. And to play alongside him, I think you're going to need someone a little bit more robust than Owate. I know Owate he's a small guy, but he certainly plays big, right? He's tenacious in the tackle. He's physical. He gets up and down the pitch. But a midfield of Bruno and Owate doesn't quite give us the physicality that we need. I think you need a real box-to-box player to play alongside Bruno if he is going to get shifted into the back. So not quite sure where Owate fits in. He's only 24 years old. We paid $50+ million for him last year. And, you have to keep him, right? Just for the options in that midfield, especially if you're getting rid of Casemiro. So I will keep him, but kind of struggling to see where he fits in with all the reshuffling that's going to be going on. Kobbie Mainoo, another interesting one, 20 years old. I'm not sure where he also fits into the squad. He's not really an 8. He's not really a 6. Last season, he flirted with multiple positions up front, whether it's the 10 or the false 9. And I'm not really sure that he's the best fit compared to the other options for the 10s with Xerxes, with Cunha now, with Bruno, and with the possibility of Mbuemo, I can't see him starting ahead of any of those guys. And so I'm not sure. I think, yeah, a loan option may not be the worst idea, right? Somewhere where he can go, and he's only 20 years old. I think he needs to play week in, week out if he's going to realize his potential, if he's going to develop into the player that broke on the scene. He needs to find his best position. And he can only do that, I think, by playing every single week and honing his craft and really developing as a player. And I think a loan option may not be the worst idea with what we're looking at in those attacking positions. Toby Collier, I would loan him as well. He seems to be a pretty steady player. Nothing flashy, can get up and down the pitch, but I don't really see where he fits into the squad right now. I would loan him out and want to see him play week in, week out again and kind of see what he can become and then reassess him after a year. Rasmus Højlund moving into the forwards. Rasmus Højlund had a horrible season, lacking confidence, not scoring enough goals, team losing confidence in him, but he's the only recognized striker in the team, so I would keep him. Even if we're going to bring in another striker, we need another option off the bench, right? Even if we bring in a Victor Osimhen or Gyökeres, you still need an option off the bench. And so I think it'd be great for Højlund to have someone else take the pressure off him and he can come in and get 20 minutes here, 15 minutes here, cup games. Really the role that he should have been playing, right? How old is he now? He's 22 years old. I don't think that he should have been the main man coming in the door. I think he should have been playing second fiddle to a main striker, still learning his craft, right? Still learning how to use his physicality, getting to space, running the channels. So I would keep him as an understudy to whoever we're hopefully going to sign to be the main striker. Joshua Xerxes had a rough start to the season, but really grew into his own and certainly a keep for me. I think he can play in that false nine position where he drops in. He can play one of the 10s, has flair, has skill, is a great connector, has that Dutch, quality about him. So definitely keep for me. Of course, Ahmad, my player of the season besides Bruno, hands down. I think with the 10 positions that we're bringing into the squad, I think he's going to possibly own that right wing back position. And Dalot would probably be second choice. And so, of course, we're going to keep him. Alejandro Garnacho, I would sell him. Just the temperament, the attitude. If you're trying to build a new culture, if you're trying to go into a fresh season with, just a new mandate, a new idea, a new culture, I think you got to get rid of Garnacho. All the off the field antics with, the interview right after the final, the social media stuff, even the postseason games in Asia, in Malaysia, I just don't think that he's the guy that to take this club forward. I would sell him, get the maximum amount of money that I can. Of course, that would be great for the books, for FFP. I would sell Garnacho to the highest bidder, no doubt. And then Chido Obi Martin, the young striker from Arsenal again. Shout out to the Gunners for a wonderful boy here, and Chido, who's a great prospect. Again, I will put him in that Rasmus Højlund fold where he gets to get minutes off the bench, play in the cup games, and just learn, be an understudy to whoever we bring in as he gets his minutes here and there. So that would be my sell, keep, or loan deal for this squad. Exciting transfer window with Cunha coming in, like I said, and the rumors about Mbuemo. Hopefully we can tie that up soon. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. And please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.